Tonight on Reporting Scotland, how one failure after another led to the deaths of two people at a young offenders institution. Katie Allen and William Brown took their own lives in 2018.
My mother, Christine, never stopped crying about William since the day we found out William passed away. But she also never gave up fighting for William as well. The main thing is we're here carrying that on for her.
Also in tonight's programme, two missing sisters in Aberdeen visited the bridge where they were last seen the day before they disappeared.
The cigarette end is now giving us a full male profile. This is something we've never had before.
A new documentary details the DNA breakthroughs that solved a decades-old murder case.
Coming up in the sport, the Scottish Cup fourth round kicks off tonight with Highland League Brechin looking to cause an upset against Hearts.
And we'll hear how rocks are being helicoptered to the summit of Arthur's Seat to help reinforce footpaths. Hello, I'm Sally Magnus and welcome to Friday's programme. A catalogue of failures contributed to the deaths of two people in Scotland's largest young offenders institution at Polmont. That's the conclusion of the sheriff looking into the circumstances surrounding the suicides in 2018 of 16-year-old William Brown and Katie Allen, who was 21. Katrina Renton reports.
We just call it Katie's Beach. It's as simple as that, Katrina.
It was on this beach in the Highlands where Linda Allen scattered her daughter Katie's ashes. A place where the family spent so many happy times together.
This place sums her up. I think that's why it's so close to my heart. She's, she was wild as a heather. She was a free spirit. She was adventurous. She was clever. She was caring. And she made a mistake.
Katie had been drink driving and injured a 15-year-old boy. She was sent to Polmont in March 2018. The inquiry heard she was repeatedly bullied and threatened while in jail. Around 3 months later, she was found dead in her cell. 16-year-old William Brown was sent to Polmont after carrying a knife into a police station. He was meant to be sent to secure children's accommodation. There were no spaces. The prison was told of his history of trying to take his own life. William was dead within 3 days.
We phoned. Everybody seen his mindset. Everybody that knew him and worked with him knew what he was going to do. And SPS and Polmont staff didn't adhere to that. They didn't listen.
Today, a fatal accident inquiry concluded Katie and William's deaths could have been prevented had reasonable precautions been taken. Sheriff Simon Collins KC found there were systemic failures with the Scottish Prison Service and healthcare in Polmont. Of William, he said almost all of those who interacted with him were at fault to some extent. He made 25 recommendations, including for the prison service to take definite and practical steps to make cells safer. He criticised the failure to do this in the period since Katie and William's death. The families and their lawyer gave their reaction.
As for the Scottish Prison Service, former prison governors, senior management at Polmont, the Forth Valley Health Board, as well as the Scottish Government, First Ministers, former First Ministers and successive Justice Ministers, you should all hang your heads in shame. You are complicit in the deaths that continue to take place.
And honestly, I can't figure out words because we've still got so many questions. There's questions about why could this ever be able to happen to a 16-year-old guy? He was my baby brother. He was a terrified little boy. He was left alone in a cell for up to 10 hours. He was a kid.
The Scottish Prison Service and NHS Forth Valley have both apologised for the failures highlighted in the report. They and the Scottish Government are now carefully considering the recommendations.
I am deeply sorry for their deaths. It should not have happened. The Sheriff's report was very clear around systemic failings. It will be my job to lead work to ensure that we get systemic improvement.
For Linda, nothing can bring her daughter back.
So the stages of grief will go on for the rest of our lives.
She hopes Katie and William's legacies will be that nothing like this can ever happen again.
And Katrina joins me now, a desperately sad story, and it's been such a long time in getting to this point. some changes for the better have been made.
Well, that's right. In the last 6 years, some changes have been made for young people in the justice system. Under 18s are no longer sent to adult prisons. They're sent to secure children's units instead. Sentencing guidelines for under 25s now make rehabilitation rather than punishment a primary consideration. Now, there are other areas that the fatal accident inquiry couldn't look at that the families want to change. They would like to see fatal accident inquiries themselves overhauled. While they welcome the recommendations that Sheriff Collins has made, they are not legally binding. They would like to see a change in the law to make that happen. And they would like Crown immunity to see a change in the law at a Westminster level so that prisons can be prosecuted, the Crown immunity to be removed. Private prisons can be prosecuted, Sally, but state prisons can't.
Any more reaction today?
Yes, the Scottish Prison Service said more to us. They said they are committed to doing everything they can to support people and keep them safe during the most challenging and vulnerable periods of their lives. NHS Forth Valley, that of course provides the healthcare in Polmont, said they have taken a wide range of actions in the last 6 years. And the Scottish Government, you heard the Justice Secretary there say that there is clearly more to be done, and this must be done at pace. And we've been told that the Justice Secretary will meet Katie and William's families next week, and there will be a ministerial statement. And you can see much more on this story on BBC Scotland channel and on the News at 7.
Thank you very much indeed, Katrina Renton. Excuse me. It's now more than 10 days. Gosh, my voice. It's now more than 10. Excuse me. I'm going to take a drink of water. Ready? No. It's now more than 10 days since sisters Eliza and... I'm so sorry. My voice was perfectly fine 2 minutes ago. There we are. It's now more than 10 days since sisters Henrietta and Eliza Hushti were last seen in Aberdeen. Police searches for the 32-year-olds who are part of a set of triplets have focused on the icy River Dee, where they were spotted in the early hours of Tuesday, the 7th of January. Today, police revealed that they were pictured on CCTV near that scene the day before. Well, our reporter, Louise Hosey, is live for us in Aberdeen tonight. Louise, what's the latest?
Well, Sally, today police have provided new details about the movements of Eliza and Henrietta Hushti in the hours leading up to their disappearance. We know they were captured on CCTV in the early hours of January the 7th. They then headed over Victoria Bridge before going down a footpath that runs alongside the river. Now, today, a new CCTV image was released by Police Scotland, and that shows that the sisters made an earlier visit to the same bridge at around 2:50 p.m. the day before, Monday, January the 6th. Police say that they then spent around 5 minutes there before returning to their flat in the Charlotte Street area. Police say they don't believe they left the flat again until shortly before they were last seen. Now, officers are appealing for anyone who saw the sisters at the bridge at this earlier time to contact them. Police also say that a text message was sent from Henrietta's mobile phone to the sisters' landlady around the time they were last seen, in which it was indicated that they would not be returning to their flat. This phone was then disconnected and it hasn't been active since.
Louise, are the searches continuing?
Yes, police say that their extensive inquiries are continuing. They've also said that there's nothing to suggest any suspicious circumstances. They say several hours of CCTV footage are being looked at and further searches are due to take place in the coming days. Police also say that they are continuing to support the Hushti family back in Hungary during what they say has been a very difficult time.
Louise, thank you very much indeed. Louise Hosey in Aberdeen. It was an unsolved murder that baffled detectives for more than 3 decades. 58-year-old Mary McLaughlin was found dead in her home in the West End of Glasgow in September 1984. Now, a new BBC Scotland documentary sheds light on how the cold case was solved by DNA found on a cigarette butt and under the knot of a dressing gown cord at the scene. Modern forensic science pointed to a man who apparently had a cast-iron alibi. Aileen Clark takes up the story.
My mum was petite. She had vibrant red hair and she was a good-looking woman. It's been a long, hard journey.
Gina's mum, Mary McLaughlin, had left her local pub one night in September 1984, stopped in at the chip shop, then went home. Around a week later, her son, worried about not hearing from her for days, went to her Glasgow flat.
He eventually forced entry to the house and she was found dead.
The scene greeting them that day, still very vivid to that detective years after retirement.
There's absolutely no doubt that she was strangled from the front. The tragic thing is that she would be looking into his eyes when he committed the murder.
More than 1,000 statements were taken, but no killer found. The case was scaled down, but evidence from the flat securely stored. There was no DNA tracing to help in 1984, but 30 years later, an embassy cigarette tip from the ashtray provided a major breakthrough.
We get this eureka moment, our eureka moment, where the cigarette end is now giving us a full male profile. This is something we've never had before.
And that profile matched to this man, Graham McGill, a sex offender. The only trouble was that police inquiries found he was supposedly in prison when Mary was murdered. The DNA profiling continued, and more traces of McGill were found.
It's on the knot, the dressing gown cord, which is around her neck, the ligature that has strangled her. He's here, he's also here. All of these places that are more directly linked to the manner of Mary's death.
Back in 1984, prison records were on paper, not computer, so archives were combed, and finally, a prison governor's note revealed McGill was out of prison on TFF at the time, training for freedom. Retired detective Mark Henderson recalls how their meticulous search paid off.
That was the golden nugget we were looking for.
In 2021, McGill was convicted of Mary McLaughlin's murder. He had spotted her walking alone and followed her home. At last, her family had justice for their mum.
All these years later, never in a million years expected I would see it in my lifetime, and there you are. It's amazing. So don't give up hope.
Aileen Clark reporting there. And the full documentary, Murder Case, The Hunt for Mary McLaughlin's Killer, will be broadcast on the BBC Scotland channel at 9 o'clock on Tuesday night. Also available on the iPlayer. Some of the day's other stories now. A 49-year-old woman has been arrested in connection with the death of a 78-year-old woman in Hamilton. Susan Sergison was found with serious injuries in the town's Gilmore Drive on Wednesday. Police say there's no wider threat to the community. Officers remain in the area and inquiries are ongoing. A historian is trying to track down missing fragments of the Stone of Destiny. It's believed that more than 30 pieces broke off after it was stolen from Westminster Abbey in 1950. Professor Sally Foster from Stirling University wants to hear from anyone who knows where any of the pieces might be so that she can tell their stories. It's thought some might have been handed down through families or housed in private collections. The controversial salmon farming sector has made what's described as slow progress in improving its environmental impact. These are among the findings from MSPs who've stopped short of calling for a ban on expanding the salmon, but the industry insists it has made significant progress. Our environment correspondent Kevin Keane has more.
It has been a polarising sector worth hundreds of millions to the economy, but with a string of environmental issues. And in 2018, after 2 Holyrood inquiries, 65 recommendations for improvements were made, many of which are still to be implemented. There was even controversy when campaigners filmed dead fish being removed from cages ahead of a visit by the committee.
There's a lot of frustration. We're just not satisfied with the progress that's been made over the last 7 years. So we're calling on the government to accelerate the process of implementing the recommendations from 2018.
The committee says the sector is important to Scotland's economy and for providing thousands of rural jobs. The environmental regulator, SEPA, has been working more closely with the industry on the appropriate siting of fish farms, and the report recognises that there have been improvements.
Our environmental performance is immeasurably stronger now. We produce fish for the international marketplace. Consumer requirements for fish are ever higher. Indeed, they will break all records this year.
For years, these things, sea lice, have been the source of the sector's woes. They attach themselves to salmon and eat into their skin. But warming seas have brought new challenges, like algal blooms and micro-jellyfish, and there's been no real reduction in the number of fish which die, around a quarter of stocks annually.
The industry continues to be in a state of crisis. We're seeing alarmingly high death rates, disease and lice outbreaks, and environmental degradation as a result of the industry. And the Scottish Government has simply been too slow to act.
Ministers say improvements have been made and they'll consider the report carefully. The committee says it'll review progress again in a year's time. Kevin Keane reporting, Scotland.
Not many places in the world can boast an extinct volcano within walking distance of the city centre. But while easy access is part of the attraction of Arthur's Seat, it also creates challenges. This week, hundreds of tonnes of rock and gravel have been airlifted towards the summit of the Edinburgh landmark to repair erosion to paths. Stephen Godden has more.
In perfect weather, a helicopter climbs towards the summit of Arthur's Seat before heading back down. Across 2 days this week, the pilot made the same journey 280 times, winching 800-kilogram bags of rock and gravel. At the drop-off point, the park's head ranger explains why.
This used to be the path edging, and now what you're standing in is the water-created ditch. The water's found the easiest route, as you can see, channeled down the hill. It's created a channel, it's undermined the path, and it's pulled out all the gravel and resource that was there before. So this is what we're trying to replace.
The eye-catching work being done on Arthur's Seat this week highlights the increasing stresses and strains that are placed on such a popular and accessible landmark.
You can see just by the number of people here today how popular it is, how people want to come and have a look.
I think it's great, like green space. It's great, you see lots of people running through there, and it's just like mindfulness as well, like it's good for your mental health.
It's marvellous. So I've heard about it and I've seen the photos, that's all, but to see in person it is great.
At the moment, those managing the park don't count visitor numbers, but their annual estimate is between 2 and 5 million people. Inevitably there's tension. For an extinct volcano, the debate about traffic management, for example, still has plenty of heat. But managing competing demand is a big part of the job.
Part of the joy of coming to visit Edinburgh is coming to the park, coming to stand on the summit, get your photograph taken, say you've been up there, say you've seen the city from here. It provides a wonderful vantage point of the rest of the city. And all of that presents a challenge to us, and we have to look at how we marry those challenges together and try to provide benefits for everything.
Modern maintenance on Edinburgh's oldest landmark, designed to ensure it can cope with future demand. Stephen Godden reporting, Scotland, Arthur's Seat.
Let's get the sport now. What you got for us?
Well, it's Scottish Cup weekend. Celtic started the defence of their trophy, Sally.
Great
Thanks
stuff.
very much. Hello there. Yes, it's that time of year where some of the country's smaller teams are dreaming of a Scottish Cup upset as the big guns enter the competition. The fourth round gets underway tonight. And first up, fifth tier Brecon, who take on Hearts. Jonathan Sutherland is at Glebe Park for us.
If Scottish Cup magic is to happen somewhere this weekend, then Brecon City's Glebe Park could be where lightning strikes. Hearts of the Premiership, the visitors this evening. In contrast, Brecon City are in the Highland League in the fifth tier of Scottish football. But they are top of the Highland League, 2 points clear of Brora Rangers, who coincidentally dumped Hearts out of the Scottish Cup in 2021. And to add further spice to this occasion, a former Hibs player is the manager of Brecon City. Hibs, of course, Hearts' arch rivals. Paddy Craig hoping for a bit of Scottish Cup fairy dust to land on his side this evening.
We're going to have nothing but respect for them, but also realise that on any given night, anything can happen, and there is life's like the element of randomness that you can't control in life is we'll need that to go our way on the night, and we're fully aware of that.
As for Hearts, they're currently second bottom of the Premiership, but they are 4 matches unbeaten. Manager Neil Critchley clearly wary of a giant killing.
We know it's a tricky game away from home. Obviously the cameras are there for a reason. We're aware of that, but you know, we've had a decent enough record in the Scottish Cup in the last couple of years. It gives you an opportunity to try and win a trophy, and that'll be our aim.
A sellout crowd of 4,000 here this evening for Brecon City versus Hearts. It's live on the BBC Scotland channel, on the iPlayer and on the BBC Sport website.
Rangers manager Philippe Clement insists their full attention is on Fraserburgh on Sunday and not next week's Europa League showdown with Manchester United. Last year's runners-up are looking to go one further and pick up the trophy this year, and their first test will come in the shape of the Highland League side at Ibrox.
All our focus is towards this cup game against Fraserburgh and to play a good game and to confirm what we've been doing the last weeks, and that the players can show that, also that you can give chance to other young talents who didn't have a chance yet until now, but who are pushing to get experiences with the first team. So that will be one part of that game, and after that we can think about many.
The finances are great for a little club like us, but also for memories. I think the players have already started dreaming about swapping shirts and who they'll be up against, and I've unfortunately a job to only give up to 11 to start with and then make a few subs. So, well, no, we're looking forward to it. I think the club as a whole are looking forward to the occasion. It doesn't happen very often.
Hibs boss David Gray has vowed to put a strong team out to play West of Scotland League side Clydebank, who are expecting to take around 2,000 supporters to Easter Road tomorrow. Hibs have won 5 of their previous 7 Premiership games, drawing the other 2, and Gray is keen to carry that momentum into the Cup.
I want to keep this performance level up. I want to keep the momentum going, and also show the respect to the level of opposition that are coming. You know, they're going to make it difficult for us. It'll be a tough day, so it'll be a real strong side we put out, as always, with full ambition to try and make sure we win the game.
We'll probably have fans over there at Easter Road on Saturday that have, you know, in days gone by used to going over to venues like that. So again, they perhaps thought that this day wouldn't come again, and again it's for them. I'm under no illusions how tough it's going to be. We're playing against a full-time team, and a good one at that. You know, a team, a massive club and a massive team in form. So we know it's going to be a tough task.
Tennis, and Jacob Fernley says he wants to keep learning from the best after his fine Australian Open debut was ended by second seed Alexander Zverev in the 3rd round. The 23-year-old from Edinburgh was playing in his first overseas Grand Slam after an impressive rise up the world rankings, but he wasn't able to cause an upset against the German, who won in straight sets in Melbourne. Glasgow Warriors head coach Franco Smith says his side maintain the belief they can enjoy a memorable season as they prepare to face Harlequins in the Champions Cup. The Scotston side could top their European pool with victory in London tomorrow, and despite calling on his players to improve on recent performances, Smith says the group are confident they can build on last season's memorable URC title triumph with glory in Europe.
We want to believe that and act on what we believe in. But you know, it's only January. There's a long way off, and we still have to improve a lot. I know, you know, what it took to get to the finals of the URC last year. We are still improving. We're still getting better as a collective. There's a big challenge now coming up with the Six Nations, and the side squad depth will be tested.
Coming up on Reporting Scotland, we've got the news at 7 on the BBC Scotland channel. 2 of a team of 4 Scottish female rowers tell us about the challenges that await them as they gear up to cross the Atlantic unaided.
With your 2 hours off or 3 hours off, whatever we decide, that's your time to sleep, navigate, eat, all these things. So you really are just kind of quickly, that's it, doing what you can.
What will the biggest challenges be?
Probably the mental toughness as well as physical. So yeah, the sleep deprivation will be massive.
And you can see the full interview with Laura McKeever on Reporting Scotland News at 7 on the BBC Scotland channel shortly. Here's where you can find it. It's on the iPlayer too. Let's see what the weather is up to. Joy, what you got for all beautiful?
Beautiful picture here. Unfortunately, not everywhere has seen these sights today. Good evening, everybody. Yes, for some it has been a rather overcast, cloudy day. But despite these conditions, mild for this time of year, particularly across the northeast. We've seen blue skies, sunshine and temperatures peaking at 13 or 14 Celsius. Now tonight, any rain across the Western Isles and the northwest will slowly work its way through the Northern Isles by morning. In the north, a chilly night to come under clear skies. We could see some patchy frost developing for some, staying milder but cloudy in central and southern spots, and blustery still for the Western Isles and the northwest Highlands. Now initially tomorrow, especially across the far north and the northeast, it will be a crisp, dry, bright start to the day. Elsewhere, more in the way of cloud, but that will for some thin and break, particularly more central spots. We will see some sunshine. But if we take a look in more detail around at 3 o'clock, particularly for the Western Isles and the Northern Isles, as we can see, overcast, still on the blustery side, and for all tomorrow, feeling cooler than we have seen of late. The best of the sunshine to be found across the northwest Highlands, the very far north and the northeast, even into parts of Stirlingshire and the central belt. But for Dumfries and Galloway and the borders in particular, it will be a mixture of cloud and some sunny spells breaking through. Now, if you are heading to the hills and mountains tomorrow, it will be a dry day to come, and it is in the north, particularly the northwest, where we'll see the best of the sunshine. Elsewhere, cloudy in the morning with more in sunshine developing as the day progresses. For all, though, it is going to be blustery on the peaks and feeling cold too, with a significant wind chill. Highs of only 3 or 4 Celsius for some. Staying dry, though, under clear skies in more northern spots overnight. Cloud building once more in the south. And then as we move into Sunday, we have this cold front pushing in from the west. That will bring with it thickening cloud and some light rain and drizzle. Initially, though, a dry start, a crisp, chilly one with potentially good spells of rain, good spells of sunshine in the east. As the day progresses, however, we'll see cloud thickening, and then we have this rain pushing in to the Western Isles and the northwest Highlands. Not too heavy though, still blustery here, but for all, it is going to feel noticeably colder once more. We do still have dry and settled conditions, however, overnight, and as we move into Monday, that weather front beginning to work its way eastward, so it is quite a cloudy start. The far northeast clinging on to the best of the brightness as the day progresses, and again some late sunshine developing for the Western Isles and the northwest Highlands. Temperatures recovering a touch, but it is still going to be feeling cooler than the temperatures we've seen this week. That's your forecast.
Thanks very much indeed, Joy. Anne McAlpine will be here with your late news at around 10:30 tonight. But until then, from everyone in the team, do enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.